Welcome back to the OIS Podcast. In this episode, Chuck Hess, VP and General Manager, U.S. Surgical, Bausch Lomb, describes his passion for bringing innovative ideas to market and takes a look forward at technologies he predicts will lead to the most exciting 10 years in B+L'S history. Let's listen as he explains.
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, to the OIS Retina Podcast. This is Firas Rahhal. I'm a partner at Retina Vitreous Associates Medical Group here in Los Angeles and also a partner at Excite Ventures in New York. And I'm delighted to have today as our guest Chuck Hess, who's a good friend of mine. We've known each other for a number of years through our retinal surgery travels together. Chuck is with B+L, official title, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, Vice President and General Manager of U.S. Surgical for Bausch Lomb. Is that the correct title and current?
That's correct, Ross. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Really appreciate it.
I've been looking forward to it because I love to talk to the people who are providing us these great surgical techniques and technologies. And as you know, I am a retina surgeon, so I'm using the stuff. And I learn a lot when we talk with our friends in industry. I get a greater perspective. And I know the same is true for you guys. That's how you learn what we need. And these dialogues have been going on in the operating room, curbside together for decades and decades. And now it's getting a little more formalized with these podcasts and different kind of electronic meetings. But your industry and our specialty have been, compatible and in cahoots together in the OR for decades. Is that your view of it?
We've had to be, right? I mean, I think, if you look at, the partnership between the clinicians and industry, it's been really a fruitful relationship. And I kind of go back in time in my career here in ophthalmology, starting out with a small company called Storrs Instruments, and my days at Storrs were really more focused around product design. So I'm an engineer by training, and coming out of school, I really took an opportunity to join this little company that really was involved in making world-class microsurgical instruments. And I really had the opportunity and the privilege to work with a lot of the early names in microsurgical techniques and technology. And so I worked a lot in cataract as well as retina and a lot in refractive surgery. And so I worked with a lot of the great names across the board in all of these different specialties, and that's really where I learned how to partner with physicians to bring technology to market. And it was a fascinating time for me because I was in the operating rooms with some of the greats in all of ophthalmic surgery, and so learning that from surgeons across the country really prepared me for really what I really had a passion to do, and that was to design, to innovate, but also bring great ideas to the market. And they were all developed with surgeons really identifying an unmet need. And so I think that's been kind of my training early on back in the mid 80s when I got into ophthalmology.
Yeah, I was. Thank you for that. I was looking over your bio to learn a little bit about the older history. I've known you recently, of course, and I saw that much like so many people in our business, that little Storrs company created a lot of careers that linger a long time in ophthalmology and particularly in retina. And I guess I shouldn't have been surprised to know that you were at WashU for your engineering. So a local guy in St. Louis ends up hooking up with other local people in St. Louis. That must have been a lot of fun in those days.
It was a ton of fun. Yeah, I think, as I look back and, some of the early days and working, coming out of school and, being a part of the local community, and then really finding this, what I consider a gem, and it was, this company that, was involved in helping physicians, help patients see. And, what a very cool opportunity for someone young in their careers is really getting an opportunity to be a part of something so impactful. And not only just from from what we do day in and day out to help our customers, but really to be in that operating room and see the work that the surgeons do using the things that we design and develop and create in our factories, but also having an opportunity to really see how they interact with their patients. So it was really fulfilling, and I think that in and of itself is really the inspiration that I have day in and day out. Doing what I do today, and just understanding the importance of the things that we do. To provide the machines, to design the new technologies and the techniques, to develop digital solutions for longer term care, and really finding ways to change the game in this industry. And I think that's where I really look at ophthalmology, engineering, research and development, and all the things that we can do to help bring great solutions to the practice.
You came out as an engineer, which makes a lot of sense for this. And I'm sure your original, young guy, 20-something years old, couldn't wait to design some instruments. And I know you've done that a lot. And I saw that you're credited with hundreds of patents. And so that's your engineering background. But you've now been there over 30 years. You've worn a lot of hats. You've been involved in marketing, sales, management, research and development, and now leadership. Clearly for the latter portions, maybe you're not as engineering as much, maybe you are. I guess I'm interested to know that. But what do you think about all these different roles, and how's that progressed gradually and led you to your current leadership role? And how are they different or similar between the different things you've done?
Yeah, I've always loved the technical side. I think the technical training and development really is good. I mean, it teaches you really excellent analytical skills and the ability to problem solve. And so, a lot of what I learned in engineering school is really just that, is the ability to be somewhat objective and look at problems in a unique way. And so. So as I embarked upon my career, engineering was really my background, but my love was business and just learning, how to integrate both, a technical background, and especially important in ophthalmology, where technology really drives innovation and change. And so it seemed like a pretty good fit for me. And so, as I moved a little bit later in my career and really tried to focus on how I can bring the technical side into my early responsibilities in marketing of our surgical devices. I was really excited to have the opportunity to move into capital equipment marketing, and that's where I had the first opportunity to really take a technology to market. So my first technology that I worked on, in a more significant way, was the Storz Premier, and the Premier was really a workhorse of its kind, and it was the very first combined cataract and retina machine, and really had a lot of great impact in the market. It grew pretty rapidly in market share. We were able to bring that technology into a lot of the teaching programs and really allow surgeons to get a good understanding of how that technology could actually help transform not only the way we were doing surgery, but for surgeons that were even on the cataract side, converting from extra cap to phaco emulsification. It was really the early technology that I think helped drive some of that early change. So I look at the technical background that I had coming out of engineering school, and really giving me an opportunity to really help talk to the physicians about what's important to them as they're treating their patients, be able to talk about fluidics and fluid dynamics and energy usage, et cetera, but also flip the conversation and talk about what's important to your patients, and be able to really start to think about how we bring these technologies to market and what's important as we're trying to meet these unmet needs. And that's really been I think a revelation for me, is that you can really pair the technical side with the commercial side and really come up with a really nice formula for leading not only an R&D project, but also leading a division of a company, or really playing a key role in leadership within our company. So that's been kind of how I've been able to kind of bring all of those disciplines together in a big way.
Yeah, I think the engineering background must help considerably, whether you're in the marketing end or the product development end or leadership. Having that background in this space seems incredibly valuable to me, and it makes a lot of sense. Paul Hallen, who has a similar position to you, and I'm sure you know Paul, I found out also has an engineering background from here in Cal Poly. I'm in Los Angeles, that's up in Central Coast. Actually, when I was on the Central Coast, I lived there for a short while before I came here. Paul Glebe put one of those machines in a surgery center. I was building out the retina suite in around 2000 or 2001, and a few years later, we did some of the maiden voyages of the 25 gauge, the original. And you guys were onto that early, and really it was a massive advance, as we all know now. I don't think we recognized right then in 2003 or 4, whenever we were starting to dabble in that, just how big that was going to be.
It was huge. I was early on in that. When we were bringing in the Premier, we had an opportunity to change the game in vitreous surgery. Up until that point, vitrectomies were all done in 20 gauge, big cutters, large incisions, sclerotomies, take back the conjunctiva. And lo and behold, we had an opportunity to work with Gene Duan up at the Mad Lab up at Wilmer. And I remember a lot of the early days when we would go to the Mad Lab with our engineers, and we would do a lot of research on how we can get vitreous out of a 25 gauge vitrectomy cutter. And this is back in the 90s when all of this was kind of evolving. So Storrs at the time was really the early innovator with the Mad Lab and bringing micro transconjunctival sutureless retina surgery to the market. And that was a very exciting time for us, because we were exploring not only how to get a vitreous cutter to be 25 gauge with all the technologies built into pneumatics and the guillotine style cutter, but it was also important for us to really bring a whole contingent of the instrumentation, like the fiber optic illuminators and forceps and scissors and things of that nature. So we really were able to kind of pair the skill and the capability within our Storrs business, along with our Storrs instrument business, with our Storrs equipment business, and really bring a more comprehensive package. So I think those were some of the really exciting early days in vitreous surgery, where we really advanced to this transconjunctival approach, and it really has set the stage for all of the advances that we've seen over the years with some of the additional cutter technology that we've been privileged to use.
Yeah, it definitely revolutionized everything we do in that era, and it was a lot of fun to be part of that on our side as well. I'm sure it was thrilling for you to be involved in the development of such an important technology. What about now? And then I want to give you a chance. We're going to move on to all the cool stuff that you want to talk about. But what's your day-to-day like now? You're in a high leadership position. You still meet with doctors, I know, because I've seen you, and you're getting around. Obviously, the pandemic held back some travel, but what's your day-to-day like now? Who are you interacting with? How do you lead your team?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I missed, getting out there and working with physicians, getting back into the OR. And so, the very first thing I did back in February was I took my very first plane trip in about 11 and a half months, and had an opportunity to go talk to another company about a business development opportunity. And so that was really my first opportunity to travel, but shortly thereafter, I put myself back into the OR. I got into 2 or 3 operating rooms since the beginning of the year. So I like to do that. I like to go out and see what's new, what we should be looking at, talk to physicians, learn about what's making their, what's exciting them in the way they treat their patients. There's a lot going on right now, just from the news that we released, back in August of last year, which is Bausch Lomb is preparing to spin out from Bausch Health. And so that's been, a lot of great focus of the company. We're going to be separating the eye care business out from the rest of the Bausch Health product portfolio. So we'll have our surgical, our pharmaceutical, our vision care, and our consumer products all dedicated to eye surgery and eye procedures, spun out from the rest of Bausch Health. Will become, about a $3.8 billion eye only business, publicly traded, and we're excited about that. We think that, there's a lot of great potential within the market for probably the most comprehensive ophthalmology and eye care business in the market. And so a lot of the work that we're doing today is really preparing for that spin, but also managing the day-to-day activities. So, I'll have certainly a lot of conference calls by way of Zoom or Teams. We use Teams within the business. We do a lot of work with our product development teams. We've been very focused on R&D all through the last few years, really trying to kind of change the game. And over the next few years, we've got a lot of technology hitting the market in retina and cataract, as well as refractive surgery in a big way. And so we're really trying to balance a lot of what we're doing from an internal development perspective, along with some of the BD activity, just to make sure that we've got a good balance of technologies that certainly meet the unmet needs of our customers, but also give them the ability to leverage our entire portfolio in their surgical facilities. So a lot of neat things that we're creating, and I can't wait to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we have on the drawing board. But most importantly, it's really all about the patient and how we develop solutions so that our customers can provide really great integrated treatment to their patients.
Yeah, anybody in this business, whether on your side of the table or mine, if you stay patient focused, it really makes the goalposts pretty clear. I've found that to be super true for the industry people. This is a credit to you and your industry. The goalpost is always very clear to the people on the industry side, something that I think the lay public may not know. They attribute those characteristics to doctors and nurses, and we should feel that way, and we do. But it's also the key that motivates all the good people on your side of the table. I've seen that universally in the 30 or so years I've been around ophthalmology.
Yeah, I think it's critical. This partner, we look at it as a partnership. We try to build, the best possible technologies. And, one of the things that that we really wanted to do was round out our retina portfolio. And so, about 5-6 years ago, Bausch Lomb really identified, an area of focus that we needed, some more activity in. And so Bausch, to their credit, allowed us to go out and look for a great technology company in Synergetics. And so we acquired that business. It was actually another St. Louis-based business, and lo and behold, we paired up our capital equipment offering with the great instrumentation and accessories that Synergetics had within their instrument and device business. And lo and behold, really, it brought to the market a really great capability. Why? Because Synergetics had just such a beautiful line of microsurgical instruments, as well as laser probes, fiber optic illuminators, And that was a bit of a gap that Bausch Lomb had. To be honest with you, we knew that we needed to strengthen our laser probe offering. We had great lasers in our machines, but we really needed to provide a much broader range of technologies. So the combination of Synergetics and Bausch Lomb and our Stellaris Elite really has been a really strong dynamic 1-2 punch. And it's given us an opportunity to get deeper into ORs as our surgeons encounter the things that they need our technology with. We now have a great broad range of options for surgeons.
Yeah, agree. Before I tee up some of the new stuff that you want to talk about that's coming, maybe a quick couple of minutes on some of the recent stuff that's gone on in the surgical device area at B+L under your direction. The Stellaris has been an advance over previous systems, some of which we just spoke about and which I used and I'm familiar with. What things do you think in the last 3 to 5 years regarding the Stellaris and or other things like the bi-blade dual port vitrectomy, what do you think that's brought to the table as an advantage over some of the previous things? What are you most proud of in these recent 5 years, let's say?
Well, gosh, there's been a lot of focus in the business, during that period for us. And one of the things that I think is really significant, from what we did, as we transitioned from, the Premier to the Millennium and then Stellaris and then Stellaris Elite, just a really great launch about 4 years ago. And when we brought Stellaris Elite to the market, we really wanted to do a number of things. We wanted to be able to allow surgeons to really have a tool that they could easily expand and upgrade and update. And so that's one of the reasons why we decided to take a number of key steps in that period and really look to advance the state of the art as far as vitreous removal. And so, as you mentioned, the bi-blade cutter, I think, has been really the revolutionary technology to bring great efficiency to surgeons as they're approaching the eye, and really finding ways that through greater efficiency, greater flow out of the eye, be able to streamline these procedures and take what was potentially a more complex procedure, but really give the surgeon ultimate control of how they're approaching vitreous, as well as shaving vitreous off the retina face. So all the things that we're trying to do, within this bi-blade technology, really has given us an opportunity to help surgeons explore even deeper, great utility with this technology. So bi-blade technology was introduced on the Stellaris Elite. We also had an opportunity to increase the cut speed with this technology. So not only doubling with bi-blade, but also increasing our cut rate from 5,000 cuts per minute on the Stellaris to 7,500 cuts per minute on the Stellaris Elite. And that was really, a great advance for us as well. And then at the same time, pairing up all of the Synergetics laser probes and directional laser probes and all the illuminators coming out of the Synergetics line, all culminated as we launched Stellaris Elite into the marketplace. And so now, as we look forward, we're real excited. We've got a number of key advancements that we're working on as we speak. We're going to take that 7,500 cuts, double to 15,000 cuts, and really push the envelope. And so we've got some new technology that will be embedded right into that Stellaris Elite system that will increase the cut rate well over 20,000 cuts per minute. So we're excited, to pair that up now again with our bi-blade technology to really, look at how we're advancing, the state of vitreous removal. We're also, going to be implementing a couple of new updates. We know that surgeons really want ultimate control and how We delivered that is probably through a number of key aspects, but one of which is raising the aspiration limits to the machine as well. So, providing surgeons with higher vacuum as it pairs very nicely with like 27 gauge bi-blade cutting technology. And so those are some of the things that we're going to be delivering here yet in the next 6 to 9 months. So we're excited to keep that platform going forward and really allowing surgeons who have invested in Stellaris Elite to really get the value of that product for a longer term by keeping it fresh and keeping it filled with great accessories and great capabilities. But the thing I'm actually most excited about, is our work with hypersonics, and the hypersonic technology in our Vitesse platform is really exciting. And I'll tell you, this advance really came again when we launched Stellaris Elite to the market a few years back. And every machine that we sell actually is configured to drive the Vitesse handpiece. And so as we look to the future, and as we roll this technology out in a bigger way in the future years, we're excited that all of the Stellaris Elite units that we have out in the market are really ready to go. Now we're actually working on some new software and some new capability with the Vitesse technology. And that will be an easy software upgrade to the machine, and we're prepared to do that very effectively with just simple service call. But what's exciting about this technology is what we're learning about it each and every day. When we started upon this journey with hypersonics, we were really actually looking for a new way to remove a cataract, and we approached the cataract in a pretty interesting way, and realized that with this small aperture probe, we were actually able to impact the vitreous in a pretty significant way, and it inspired us to really continue on this journey to understand more about how we can leverage hypersonics and rapid fluid flow along with physical cutting to really make an efficient vitreous cutter. So that's really what we've been doing really over the last 10 years or so, really taking that concept of, hey, I want to remove a lens more effectively, to let's talk about how do we expand upon our capabilities in the vitreous space. And so we're real excited about hypersonics. We think that this technology has a lot of legs, but I think we still don't know everything we need to know about it. And I keep going back to the days of how long did it take us to really perfect the pneumatic guillotine cutter? It took us a long time. So we're making great strides in vitreous removal using this technology. But what we're really excited about is how it actually impacts other tissues within the eye. Say like drop lenses, for instance. We've been seeing a lot of clinical work where we're actually able to take a drop lens very efficiently. So it becomes now a great tool for the vitreous surgeon to really think about, expanding their horizon in approaching vitreous surgery and complex cases a lot more effectively. So we're excited about where it's headed. We're still working on optimizing settings in power capabilities and fluid dynamics, etc. But we believe we're making really good progress. We're in the clinic in eyes, and we're doing that in a limited basis just to learn a lot more about the technology before we bring it out to the masses. And as you can imagine, as you're bringing new probes and new technologies to the market, we really need to be able to prepare our surgeons to really harness this technology to their advantage. And that's what the work that we're doing today with this technology.
I'm fascinated by the ultrasound idea, and you're calling it hypersonic. That makes a lot of sense to me. I've been around ultrasound since my residency, kind of intermittently. Jack Coleman, our chairman at Cornell at the time, is a brilliant researcher and helped develop, ophthalmic ultrasound. And he was developing therapeutic use of ultrasound, as you are talking about now, not just diagnostic, and it's making a little bit of a comeback. I've heard some startups considering, using certain frequency ultrasound to treat glaucoma by, I guess, pulverizing in a certain way, destruction of ciliary processes, etc. So it always made sense to me that we probably were underutilizing this physical technique or this physical energy of ultrasound, and you're onto this now. So how do you see this fitting in? I know there's still a lot of unknown, and I applaud you for approaching this cautiously and with prudence, not to just sort of jut in and let's do everything with it. But how do you see it fitting in? Do you see a future where ultrasonic, and I don't know if the right word is pulverize or phaco or whatever, of removal of vitreous, can that be the principal way we could remove vitreous at some point?
Well, we're convinced that that this is a technology that we need to put a lot more energy into, and I think just what we've seen today in the early go, convinces us that we're headed down the right path. And so today what we're working on, as I mentioned, is a little bit of the setting side, really trying to balance aspiration and energy. The other thing that we're doing too is we're exploring new port configurations as well, because this technology really does rely on fluid flow, but it also relies on the impact of different port configurations on the vitreous. So it's a combination of fine aspiration control as well as cutting efficiency. And so we believe that with these different port configurations, we can probably optimize the technology for different tissue impact. And so is it a viable vitreous aspirator? Absolutely. We've seen that with the work that we've already done. Can we remove lens material? Absolutely. We've done that in the clinic as well, and in the OR. And so we're convinced that not only is this going to be a viable technology for the vitreous surgeon, we think that it's going to add increased capability for your procedure. So in other words, if you're approaching a dropped nucleus, the last thing you really want to do is pull out a frag handpiece, but you do it because you have to, right? And so I think that's where we're excited about this is we can go right through a trocar cannula and effectively remove a lens without having to pull the trocar out and enlarge the wound. And so we think that the efficiency of this technology will really play very nicely in the vitreous OR of the future. And we also think that as we kind of look forward, and to your point a few minutes ago, where else can we use and leverage hypersonics in ophthalmology? And we think that there's probably a number of opportunities down the road that we haven't even been able to explore yet, because we really want to get this vitreous technology out into the market.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of prep work for all of this. When we first started doing phacoemulsification for cataract, there was a lot of concern, for good reason, about corneal endothelium, and we definitely saw some disasters around too much ultrasound adjacent to the corneal endothelium. The cataract surgeons are now quite expert, and the technology is so much better. Similarly, I assume there's testing that's already been done and maybe ongoing. How close can you get to the retina with a hypersonic probe safely? Maybe you can even use it to do retina manipulations. Maybe it's safer around the retina.
Well, we did a lot of homework in that area, and a few years back, we worked with a surgeon over in Europe, Paul Stenga, and he did a lot of the histopathology work that we needed to really validate the technology, and allowed us to get clearance from the FDA for this technology. And so I think we've got a lot of the basic science down. I think we're really comfortable with this as a potential replacement for pneumatics. But but we also want to make sure that the things that we're doing, with respect to harnessing all of the energy that's coming from these probes and managing fluidics really is giving us the proper response in the eye. And I think that's the most important thing is, what you don't want is you don't want a technology that slows you down and delays the procedure, but you want something efficient and that can really deliver the performance that you need in order to take the best care for the patients. And that's really our focus at this point is really providing a viable alternative to pneumatics, and that's the focus of the project at this point.
Great, thank you. What about other technologies? I know you have a personal interest, and the company obviously has an interest in intelligence and bringing, I won't use the word artificial intelligence, but let's call it in the generic intelligence technologies to the OR and maybe to the office. There's something at your company referred to as eye-telligence. What can you tell us about that, and what's going to be the new frontier there that you can share with us?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things that we did when we launched the Stellaris Elite is we connected it to the cloud. We did that for a number of reasons. We believe that was really a great technology to have in the operating room, and it was actually the very first ophthalmic surgical device connected to the cloud. And why did we do that? Well, we wanted to do a number of things. We wanted to provide a tool and a technology that we could leverage, to gather information about the machine and how it's performing. And so a lot of what we thought about, being able to connect to these machines is how do you gather information about the machine and its utilization, primarily because we wanted to be able to identify when problems arise that we could preemptively go in and service machines and be able to keep your uptime as reliable as possible. The last thing you want is a machine that breaks down and you have to cancel a day of surgical cases. So we felt as if we could capture information from that machine, scan the subsystems and understand when something was going to fail, we could dispatch our technical teams before you ever had a catastrophic failure. So that was job number one. The other job that we wanted to do is really provide some convenience to the surgeon as they're going from hospital room to hospital room or OR to OR, whether they're operating in one facility or facilities across town. We wanted to be able to allow you to bring in your information, whichever machine you're operating at, and be able to have all of your settings inherent in the machine without having to have the rep come in and reprogram each and every one of your machines across town. And so we were able to do that. We're able to use intelligence to store your settings, your own personal settings in the cloud, and then be able to bring those down into every Stellaris Elite machine that's in the marketplace. And so that was job number two. And then we really wanted to build a platform for data management. And so that gave us the opportunity to do that. So the data that we're collecting about your surgical procedure, we have stored, and we're building applications now that will allow you to gain access to that data and be able to use it as you're analyzing your surgical procedures or your techniques, and really trying to understand the trends in your cases. I think the other thing that we were real excited about is how could that parlay into a better relationship with the teaching institutions as well? As we all know that residents, have to go through a series of surgical procedures in their training, and that was really, I think, the best opportunity for us to really think about how can we provide valuable information back to the doctor that will help them in their training and their development. So those were some of the other early needs within this area. But I think we're looking at this in a much bigger way, and we really look at a number of key work streams within the business of ophthalmology that I think we can add value using this intelligence data platform. And I think that's really exciting for ophthalmology because, it's not only about, what the machine is telling us, but it's really about what the machine is telling you and how do we connect other technology to this ecosystem that provides value to the surgeon. And so that's really our focus at this point, is really identifying those future technologies that we can bring into this intelligence ecosystem and provide surgeons with the great planning tools. And so we think that in the world of data now going forward, that really is truly the value statement. And so it's all about how we care for the patient. It's how we transmit information from the office to the OR. It's how we provide you with the tools necessary to make the right decisions upon what technologies do I need to be pulling for that next case, whether it be a laser probe for one case or the test probe for another case. And so these are some of the things that we're really trying to work on, is workflows and work streams that allow greater efficiency, better predictability and analytics that allow us to really perfect our techniques. And also looking at the back office management of the operating room as well, and how we can add value to things like product replenishment, supplies that are used during a case could be automatically ordered. Those types of things that I think we can really leverage data now in a bigger way to provide increased value and increased capability. So I think we're still very early in the development of these analytical tools and these digital tools for efficiency, for driving efficiency and greater care. But we're excited about the future. We're well vested and invested in this, and I think we're just really kind of tipping the iceberg as it relates to how we bring technology to the market and really leverage data along with the devices to really deliver a great combination of technology for the future OR that we're all excited to get into.
That's a great segue for me, because there's a topic I wanted to ask you about, and I think this leads right into it. So we have the context of this great high-level real-time data analysis and data availability to the surgeon, the doctor in the office. But let's speak about the OR for a minute. And all these precision tools that are constantly evolving and getting better. And the other part of the constellation that I'm sure you're aware of is that these biologic treatments that are coming now, stem cell implantation and gene therapies and things like that, are going to require both, precision tools and possibly real-time data feedback to the doctor. How do you see that fitting in? And I'll throw in a wrench, and this is hypothetical, of course, but there's a lot of talk of it, and there's some companies looking at it, robotics as part of this triad of things at the same time. How has your company, I'm sure, thought about this, and what is your view of that in the future, and how long?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I think this is probably the most exciting area, and I've never met a three-armed surgeon. So anytime where we can add value to the surgical procedure, through something like robotics, and it's really exciting. I think we've seen some of the early renditions of surgical technology controlled by robotics. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the future as it relates to some of the things that you just talked about, which I think is really important. We look at gene therapy and all the things that we're doing subretinally as an opportunity for us to really add value, and so a lot of what we've been doing really lately is working with some of the bigger companies that are implementing subretinal drugs and gene therapy. And what we found is that they're great on the drug side, they're not very good on the device side. And so what we're trying to do is bring our capability within our synergetics portfolio and within our surgical equipment portfolio to really think about how we can add value there. So we've actually partnered our synergetics development team along with a couple of the companies that are out there, really looking at how we adapt some of our instrumentation to work in that space. But I think the natural progression is not only getting the material under the retina, but really understanding how much are we delivering and how do we gauge the volumetric analysis as well. So I think there's a lot of exciting things out there. I do think that robotics will tie very nicely to some of this. I do also believe that visualization is an interesting area as well. And in the combination of precision instrumentation along with the robotics and the visualization, I think really give us and the imaging technology as well, really give us the opportunity to really accelerate into the future. So we're excited about where all this is headed. We think that the digitization of the surgical procedure and all the things that we're able to collect now to plan the procedure and execute the procedure and follow these patients longer term, combined with some of these advanced treatments, is an exciting area. And we're very excited, from our perspective, to really get into some of those futuristic technologies as time goes on.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. Visualization can never be overestimated in ophthalmology, but obviously, particularly in the retina surgery space. It's improved so much in the last 20 years, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. And I'm glad that, the companies are thinking about that. As surgeons, it's always one of our greatest challenges is to achieve high quality visualization for every step in the case. And it's not always there, and there's still room for improvement. What about in the office, Chuck? Are you guys looking at some of these data analysis and or precision technologies for office-based work in ophthalmology as well?
It's interesting. We're pretty. I think at this point, if you consider the office, and it's an important environment for the physician, right? It's where you do a bulk of your work related to patient care and injections, et cetera. And so, for us, we have a strong interest in the office. We think that the office is really where a lot of the decisions are made as far as how we treat the patients, in the OR, et cetera. So one of the things that, we're starting to see a little bit more of, especially on the cataract side, not so much on the retina piece, but I'm kind of keeping, a close eye on how all of this is evolving is, we are hearing about surgeons who are, now starting to think about, how do they execute some of these procedures in their office? And I don't know where it's all going, to be honest with you. From our perspective, we're an equipment and device and drug company, and I think, from our perspective, we want to be mindful of the need for supporting the doctor and the patient. And so we've been really looking at, how do we improve our performance in the OR, whether it be in the hospital or the surgery center, maybe someday in the doctor's office, from a surgical intervention perspective, if that's where the doctor believes that their best work can be done. But I think efficiency is really important. And, you look at, the time that it takes to go down the street to the hospital or the surgery center and get your cases done, and then come back to the office and have another half day of seeing patients, et cetera. So I think the objective really is how do we make all of these much more effective and much more efficient. And so as we look to the future, we're looking at improving efficiencies. We talked a little bit about hypersonics and bi-blade technology. How do we provide the instrumentation that can make us efficient? And ultimately, how do we provide the information to the doctor to really become that much more effective in how they execute their patient care? So all of those things are on the table. We continue to look at where the market is headed. The interesting thing for us too is that because we're a global supplier, we're addressing a lot of regional needs around the globe. So what we're doing in Europe is so significantly different than, say, what we're doing in Asia, for instance, and a lot different from what we're doing here in the U.S. as well. And so But the benefit that we have is really we have a really good, strong global organization between ourselves here in the U.S., our team outside the U.S. We all contribute to our direction and our 10-year horizon planning that we do each and every year, and we really take a close look at where we think it's the old saying about you skate where the puck is going to be. And I think that's really, our perspective is we want to make sure that, the things that we bring to market really truly add value to you as the clinician and be able to support, excellent patient care. And, I think those are some of the things that we always gauge. We use that as our ruler to gauge where we put our money. Our money is precious. Our time is precious, but our efforts are really dedicated to patient care and really supporting the eye care community. And so I think those are all the things that we really try to pull together to deliver the technology that we believe is, for the future, is really set in excellent patient care. So whether we want to work in the office, the hospital, the ASC, the OR, the office environment, we want to be there. We want to support our customers. We don't want to get so broad that we get too distracted, but we really want to develop and deliver a great care for our patients. And however we can manifest that, we're absolutely committed to doing. And that's really one of the reasons why, as you look at some of the announcements that we've made here, really over the last year, really thinking about how do we take our surgical expertise and combine it with our pharmaceutical division to really bring things together. And so, we announced, recently, a biosimilar that we're going to be bringing to the market here to Lucentis. We also announced, our acquisition of some of the ophthalmology assets of Allegro, and we're continuing to look at, good, strong, retinal technologies in the drug space. And we believe that because we're in retina in a big way in surgical as well as pharma, we can bring those technologies together and really continue to deliver great value and great options for the space here in the time to come.
One final thing before we run out of time. You mentioned in this context the spinning out of the eye care portion of Bausch, and I think that makes a lot of sense that would allow you as a company to be laser focused, and I'm sure that's part of the impetus for that. What about you personally? You've done a lot there. I have no reason to think you're not going to be there for the rest of your career, but what personal hurdles would you still like to do within the company or within the science of ophthalmology?
Well, I'll tell you, we have had just a tremendous amount of support from the company in our surgical business, and we've been very blessed by a significant amount of investment in allowing us to go execute a really strong strategic plan. We've got a great plan over the next 10 years to have significant growth in our business. To break into new markets with new technologies and really reinvigorate some of our key brands within the marketplace. So I look at the next 10 years as probably the most exciting in the company's history. And I'm just excited and tickled to be a part of that vision and the opportunities that my senior leadership has given us. Joe Papa, Sam Aldazuki, Joe Gordon, the president of Bausch Lomb, has really been 110% supportive of our vision for where this business can go. And so I feel like my job isn't done until I deliver that 10-year plan. And so so that's what my focus is going to be. I think, just looking at, where we can get to with Bausch Lomb, in this market, doing the things that we're doing, partnering with surgeons, partnering with the healthcare community, bringing new technologies is incredibly exciting. And I think the changes that we're going to see in the next 10 years are going to dwarf the changes that I've seen in the past 37. So I'm really excited to be a part of it and really enthusiastic about where we're going and having an opportunity to work with more surgeons in the future. So excited to be a part of that and really focused on the future.
Thank you. Chuck Hess, Vice President, General Manager again of U.S. Surgical for Bausch Lomb, and my friend and a friend to all of us in the retina space. Thanks, Chuck, for coming on. That was enlightening.
Thank you, Firas. I really appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening. Chuck's enthusiasm and spirit is contagious. Get another look at ophthalmology being advanced with a spirit of collaboration in the upcoming OIS Israel Innovation Showcase, Thursday, June 10th at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And come back next week to hear what's new on the OIS Podcast.